Good evening, everyone. The contentious Macquarie Point Stadium is set to pass in the state's upper house, with at least 3 key independents confirming their support for the project. The government now has the numbers to see the development through after years of intense political and public debate on the highly divisive proposal.
Touted one of the kingmakers for Macquarie Point Stadium's fate.
Not intimidating at all.
Independent Beck Thomas finally revealing her hand.
This morning advised Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe that he has my support for the project of state significance Macquarie Point order.
The first domino to fall in the project's favour.
This has been the hardest decision I've ever made.
But her vote comes with conditions. An $875 million state cost cap. An independent watchdog plus a design and integrity review panel, $105 million for grassroots sports infrastructure over 4 years, and a target for local jobs for the development.
Trusting the government was something that I really weighed up.
As the upper house debate began, the government secured a second independent vote.
My position in supporting a multi-purpose stadium in Tasmania, in Hobart and Tasmania, has remained unchanged since 2023.
Though Ruth Forrest wasn't the third.
I have seriously tried to get there, but the evidence is simply not there in my view. I can't ignore the very real issues related to the state's financial challenges.
Tasmania's finances, not her only red flag.
Perhaps the hardest part of this debate is the division it has created amongst Tasmanians, where none existed before.
Concerns of community division shared across the chamber.
I'm genuinely sorry to those who desperately did not want me to support this.
Unfortunately, because of the way it's been handled, it has caused division, not just in the state, but even within families.
And having only sat in the Legislative Council for 6 months, independent Casey Hiskett made one of the biggest calls he'll make in his political career.
I'll be supporting this order and the future of our state.
Giving the last vote the government needs to see Macquarie Point Stadium through and securing the Tassie Devils Football Club's future.
And for more, we're joined by state political reporter Anthony Dodd outside Parliament House. Anthony, despite the government having the numbers, debate in the upper house is expected to go on for some time.
That's exactly right, Kim. Debate in the upper house in state parliament just behind me is still continuing as we speak, and we're expecting debate to continue well into tomorrow as well before the all-important final vote, which we're expecting at around about tomorrow evening sometime. But as we've just heard not too long ago, that the government has got the numbers effectively in the bag. We've heard just a short time ago that Independent Dean Harris has become the 4th independent to get behind the project and announce that he will support Macquarie Point Stadium through the Parliament once it comes up for that final vote, which means the government's got 9 out of a possible 14 votes, more than enough that it needs to be able to see the project through. Now, of course, this comes at a very precarious time for the state government and the state as a whole, with Tasmania's finances looming as a very large issue, and that's been part of the reason for why the project has caused such division in the community ever since it was touted and flagged and signed between both the Tasmanian state government and the AFL back in 2023. Net debt with Tasmania is expected to blow out to around about $10 to $13 billion in the coming years, and there's real concern in the community that the build of the stadium could come potentially at the cost of funding essential services, essential public services, or even vital frontline community support services that operate in homelessness relief, food relief, and also healthcare, among other areas as well. One of the community groups that have been long opposed to the project, Our Place, has vowed to continue to fight against the project despite the government having the numbers and effectively having the support to be able to see the project through. Roland Brown issued a media release. He's a spokesperson from Our Place, and he effectively said that they're going to look for new ways to try and combat against and push back against the project, although it remains to be seen just how they actually intend to do that. And the Greens have raised concerns about the new cost cap that's effectively been placed on the state government for delivering this project. Beck Thomas, as part of her support for the project, she said that she's negotiated an $875 million state government cost cap in terms of the state contribution towards the stadium. The Greens say that given that the Premier has already gone back on his $370 $75 million and not a red cent more commitment, that there's doubts about how they're going to stick to this new funding commitment that they've reached with Beck Thomas. So a very interesting time indeed for the Macquarie Point Stadium project, which effectively secures the future of the Tasmanian Devils Football Club. It, of course, is now the state government, that is, has got the tough task of delivering the project and seeing it through and keeping it to that tight budget cap in amongst a very difficult financial position for the state at the moment, Kim.
Still some of those conditions, as you say, that Beck and the other independents are requiring for it to be met. And if only we had a crystal ball. Thank you very much, Anthony Dodd.